Hey guys, this is Mike Parker at the Center for OCD and Anxiety in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I want to talk to you about something that's really important for managing anxiety, and that is your imagination. Now, we all know how great the imagination is when it comes to creativity and the arts and entertainment and all those things. But the imagination can be our own worst enemy in life as well. Now, the thing to watch out for is when you've got an issue, let's say you've got a OCD obsession that consumes you a lot of the time, or an anxiety trigger, or something that is causing you a lot of worry and angst. You have to be careful not to spend too much time in your imagination with things in that area. So, let's just say you struggle with perfectionism. And so there's a few different ways you might get sucked into your imagination. You might start thinking about the past. You might start thinking about that meeting at work yesterday, and your words didn't come out right, and you feel like you sounded like an idiot, and everybody's thinking, how bad you are at your job and how incompetent you are. That would be an example of getting completely absorbed by your imagination, reliving those past events, almost like a video, thinking about what if scenarios that could have been different. That is all your imagination out of control. You can also get absorbed into it into the present. If you're having a lot of should thoughts, while you're in that meeting, I'm in the meeting right now and I'm thinking I should be talking better than I am right now. This isn't, demonstrating how good I actually am at my job. Should thoughts are basically a rejection of what's happening in front of you and a focus on an imagined alternative that you think is better, that you think should be happening. So that's also using your imagination in an unhelpful way that's taking you away from what's happening in front of you in reality. And third, you want to watch out for using your imagination to imagine future scenarios, right? Next meeting, I'm going to sound so much better and so much more eloquent, and I'm imagining all the things that might happen in that meeting and how I'm going to respond and how I'm going to impress everybody. That's another example of getting absorbed into imaginary scenarios in a way that's taking you away from the present moment, making you think about the thing that is always making you anxious, that's always making you feel unpleasant things, and not living your life, which is happening right in front of you. And this meeting that you've been so focused on probably has very little relevance for what is actually happening in your life right now. But yet you're completely reliving it over and over and over again and focused on that. So if you find yourself in a pattern like this, it's really important to say, I have to get better at stopping this pattern. And so the first thing you want to do is get better at noticing. Noticing is often the hardest part, but you want to start catching yourself when it's happening. So you might, be sitting in a room, you were working on something, and you realize, oh wow, I was just gone in my head for 10 minutes and I was just reliving something or thinking about something in the future. I wasn't even in this room anymore for a little while. You want to be able to say, okay, I did it. That was an example of me getting stuck in my imagination. And then the next step is to, this is going to sound super oversimplified, but you just have to stop it, right? You're just going to say, I'm going to stop getting sucked into my imagination. And lastly, what you're going to want to do is figure out, what do I do instead of living in my imagination? What do I do instead of living in my head? And that is living in the present moment. And so figuring out how to get yourself back in touch with reality, with the world right in front of you. And that usually involves somehow getting in touch with your senses, sight, smell, sound, touch. And then also just engaging your thinking in a different task. So maybe I have to write a paper for school, or maybe I'm working on something for work. Let me return to that task. And let me not get involved in a bunch of should thoughts about that task. Let me just work on my paper and do the best that I can, and that's all I'm gonna do, is and accept that. And then you might want to also introduce some other things that are going to engage those senses. Going for a walk and enjoying the fall leaves, getting involved in some kind of coping activity that is distracting, working with clay or paint or an adult coloring book. Anything that can engage your senses or engage your mind in a task is going to bring you back into the world in front of you, and give you some leverage against that urge to go back into your imagination. So that's my quick tip for today, guys, is notice yourself getting overly absorbed in your imagination and using your imagination in an unhelpful, anxiety-provoking way. And get better at noticing it, stopping yourself, and bringing yourself back into the present moment. So good luck with that, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks.